जब गॉड कहते हैं तो सबकी बुद्धि ऊपर चली जाती है। ईश्वर अल्लाह गॉड एक है, सर्व आत्माओं का पिता एक है, सर्व का दुख हरता शांति दाता एक है, ज्ञान का सागर, फिर प्यार का सागर, शांति का सागर, आनंद का सागर, पतित पावन एक परमात्मा है। उसको इन आँखों से देखा नहीं जा सकता, इस बुद्धि से जाना नहीं जा सकता। उसको देखने और जानने के लिए अंतर मन की आँख खुले, अंतर बुद्धि शुद्ध हो जाए, दिव्य हो जाए तो जाने। देखना और जानना दोनों ज़रूरी है। फिर पहचानेंगे वो कौन है, कैसा है, क्या करता है, क्या कराता है। तो अपने अनुभव से कहेंगे हम भी भगवान को बहुत ढूंढती थी। कोई कहे ईश्वर है ही नहीं, कोई कहे मैं ईश्वर हूँ, कोई कहे तो ईश्वर है, पर कहाँ है, कैसा है, उसका नाम, रूप, देश, काल, कर्तव्य क्या है। वो अभी समय आया, कलयुग की अंत और सतयुग आ रहा है, नाटक पूरा हुआ है। ये सतयुग से कलयुग का नाटक चक्कर पूरा हुआ है। अभी अंतिम घड़ियाँ है, सर्व आत्माएं ऊपर से नीचे आ गई है। धर्म गिलानी, पाप, भ्रष्टाचार दुनिया में इतना बढ़ गया है जो सच का नाम भी निशान न रहा है। धर्म सत्ता चाहे राज सत्ता, दोनों में अंदर से सुख शांति का जो जैसे कहे दिवाला हो गया है। ऐसे टाइम में प्यारा परमात्मा बाप कैसे ब्रह्मा बाबा के तन द्वारा प्रवेश हो, हम आत्माओं को अपना परिचय दे करके हम आत्मा है, हम चक्कर में पाठ बजा के पूरा किया है। हे आत्मा परमात्मा बाप पतित पावन, ज्ञान का सागर, शांति का सागर, प्रेम का सागर, तुमको पावन बना करके घर का रास्ता बता रहा है। परमात्मा बाप कहे बच्चे मैं तो सदा परम धाम में रहने वाला हूँ। तो आगे बाप कौन, हम कहाँ से आए हैं, कहाँ जाना है, सब भूले हुए थे। अभी प्यारे परमात्मा बाप ने जो हमारे भारत के अंदर भगवान, ईश्वर, प्रभु तीन रूप से कहते हैं। ईश्वर तेरी गत मत न्यारी, भगवान तू तो भाग्य विधाता है, प्रभु तेरी लीला परम पार है। तो उसको जानने से अनुभव होता है कि वो परमात्मा एक इस समय अंधकार को मिटाना और फिर से रोशनी लाना, ये उसका काम है। ज्ञान अंजन सतगुरु दिया, अज्ञान अंधेर विनाश। तो परमात्मा ने हमारा तीसरा नेत्र ज्ञान का खोला, त्रिकालदर्शी बनाया। अभी कहता है तीनों लोकों के मालिक हो। स्थूल दुनिया के अभी समझो दुख धाम से, दुनिया से छूट करके शांति धाम में चल के सुख धाम में आना है ना। इसलिए एक मेरे के याद में रहो। दूसरा, श्रेष्ठ कर्म का खाता इतना जमा करो तो तुम मेरे बच्चे बाप से स्वर्ग की राजई का वर्षा लेंगे ना।
Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome and good evening. Welcome back to your spiritual vaccine, that time to reconnect with each other and to reconnect inside. As I was listening and reading the subtitles and watching Daddy Janki's Purity, it's been a little bit over a month since Daddy has passed, and it just feels like she hasn't gone anywhere. It just feels that she's still around doing service and inspiring and uplifting and guiding and directing. And isn't it how I think we all want to live our lives, where we paid so much attention on accumulating elevated actions, not just good actions, but elevated actions. And we kept our lives in remembrance of the energy of the divine, of God, the bestower of happiness, the remover of sorrow, and the one who has come to dispel all this darkness down below. It's a very powerful time. I think for me, I'm so sensitive to where I receive deep spiritual messages, and maybe I'm biased because I had Dadi Janki and Dadi Prakashmani and these great yogis growing up around them from a teenager until now. I've seen the living proof of what a person can become when they choose to surrender to love, to purity, to peace, and they choose to really pay attention to their interior world and use their lives to be of service. Maybe that's why, to some extent, I'm wired that way very strongly. Who knows? Anyway, you okay? It's almost 2 months that we've been hunkered down, hasn't it? It's been almost 2 months. I wonder how we're going to be when we come out of post-COVID-19. Are we going to be good people, better people? Or we're going to have so much frustration that we come out just like, ugh. Santosh was telling me today it feels like house arrest, you know? And, you know, they give you these anklets to wear when you're on the house arrest. So if you leave the parameters or if you come out of the area, there's a signal that's sent to wherever, you know, the station is. And they'll know that you're out of your house and that you shouldn't be. Our signal now is a mask and a glove. If you don't have a mask and a glove, you can get pulled over and then you can get into trouble. Nowadays, when I look at each other, all we can see are the souls, because the window of the eyes, you know, reveals you, the soul. So yesterday, many of you shared that you wanted a continuation of our conversation on experiencing God. And so I'm happy to continue our Monday moments of meditation and silence on this particular topic. We did explore some aspects yesterday. We particularly went into the experience of soul and what the soul is and how the soul sits inside of the body, if you remember, for those who tuned in yesterday. And we also looked at when a soul is outside of the body, no matter if the organ has been donated, why is it that that organ can give life to someone who is in need, but it couldn't keep the soul in that body? The organs are fine, but whether it's through an accident or some other illness of some sort, the soul can no longer inhabit that house. It can no longer drive that car. And whatever experiences based on the choices that the soul has made, the soul carries the vibration of that to its next destination. In Raj Yoga teaching, we call it the sanskaras, which are what I think they call in the Western dimension, it's your subconscious. So even as you're looking at me now, there are certain factors that are functioning automatically and simultaneously. One, there are certain thoughts from your mind that are emerging even as I'm speaking. Maybe you're remembering something in the kitchen, something someone said, the thoughts are just coming and going. Maybe you're sitting and you feel really a need to go and get a glass of water, but you won't want a glass of water unless the image of the thought that a glass of water will quench your thirst comes up very strongly on the screen of your mind. Even though you're sitting and watching this program, your mind is still active. And if that thought is really quite strong, it will send a very strong signal, do something. So the awareness inside of the soul, the intellect, will actually feel compelled to follow the thought that's sent from the mind. And it gets up. It might be hearing in the background the things that I'm saying. It goes for a glass of water. It comes back. It sits down. It looks through the eyes. And it continues to try to capture what I'm saying. And here's the mystical part, which is the real part that the energy of God works on. However you felt, from the moment you got the thought to the decision to get up, and the intent in that decision to go and get water, and whatever your thoughts were between that point and going to get water, to come back and sit, to listen, and to try to focus, there's the mystical recording. There's a mystical recording taking place in the area of the soul called the sanskaras. Now, we can't always decipher what is actually being left behind as an impression inside of the soul. But there is an energy that comes from a thought, an intent, an act. The whole aspect of the thought and the act gets a recording in the soul. Say, for example, what's the difference between a surgeon taking a knife and cutting into someone versus a thief taking a knife and cutting into someone? What's the difference? Intention. Both individuals are performing similar acts, but both individuals have a different intent. So as a result, the one that's cutting someone because of robbery or stealing creates in the sanskara the energy of fear, rage, sorrow, hurt, pain, suffering. If they do it 1 time, 5 times, 20 times, 40 times, they start to feel it's a normal pattern and a normal behavior. The soul will even begin to find reasons why it is justified to continue to perform that action. How many times have you lied? How many times have you cheated? How many times have you said something you don't mean? How many times have you just allowed it to just get recorded in the sanskara and never go back to address that that's an area in my soul that I want to take care of? How many times? You don't remember, do you? You don't have any idea. Now let's look at the surgeon. Has a knife. He even has accomplices. He has the scrubber. He has those who are doing the anesthesia. He has folks who are helping him with the scalpels. The surgeon takes a knife, cuts into a patient, But in his consciousness is, I'm here to heal them. They will feel better. I'm not here to give suffering. I'm here to take away his suffering. So in his recording and in his consciousness of intention, he records in the sanskara the fact that his life is to help, to remove sorrow, to save lives. So he does 1 surgery. He does 10 surgeries. He does 100 surgeries. And you can't tell that surgeon, I'm not here to help many lives. It's just become a normal, natural part of his personality or her personality. So when we look at the whole role of the experience of God and wanting to make a connection to God, there's something inside of each and every one of us, something in the soul, that calls out very deeply to remove a memory, a recording in the soul of suffering. Now, let's say that you look at this lifetime and you don't consider the choices that you've made have really been as horrifying as using a knife to hurt somebody, imprisoning someone who is innocent, fighting with the law system because it's just, you just love your ego now, being greedy. You'd rather have a lot of money so you can sail your yachts across the world and fly in your private planes and wear your your name brand clothes while you pass by on the streets and see people suffering in your country. And you don't think of a method. How can I help my fellow man to raise their value and raise their worth? Even that is a form of suffering. Because there's no consciousness, there's no conscience, there's no awakening. Greed has taken over your personality. How many times have you yelled at your teenage son or daughter and you didn't mean it? How many times have you gone to a job that you just hate? And you bring that energy of hate in the atmosphere without knowing. That's also not a very good deed. How many times have you gotten so angry that you're not aware that you're polluting the atmosphere? How many times have you looked at images that stimulate your sexual desires which have no absolute value or meaning to your existence? Supposed to be happily married? Or maybe you're happily single? How many of you continue to serve these thoughts and feelings and ideas? So even those feelings get recorded in the sanskaras. And when they reach a particular level where you can't handle it anymore, they have to exit the consciousness through an action. So that's why when the thoughts start to send signals to the mind, and it tells you, do this, think like this, go here, your ability to make that decision to do it sometimes compels you because the energy of that repeated action over a long period of time takes away all your common sense and all the wisdom that you know to be true. And you basically go into a repetitive pattern of fulfilling an old karmic energy that you're just so used to. So let's say our humanity is at a particular point during this particular pandemic, that we've reached a point where we don't feel very contented with ourselves. We don't feel very peaceful. We don't feel very loving. There's still certain situations of people that will come up into your framing and you feel upset, you feel disappointed. A friend of mine has been held against her wish in a prison by a relative of her country for almost 2 years. There's been social media, the news stations has been covering it, and now her family is not even hearing from her at all since she's gone public to tell the world, I'm being held captive, and I don't know why, and no one's helping, not even my relatives who are running the country. What's behind that action? Negativity, darkness, greed, insecurity, vice, peacelessness. Darkness So when we talk about the need to experience God now, we all need that experience. You could be a saint, you will need the experience of God. You could be a sinner, you will need the experience of God. You could be rich, you could be poor, you could be very beautiful, you could be deemed not so beautiful to be on the cover of a magazine. You need an experience of the divine. And why? Because no matter how much we try to fulfill our human needs and human requirements, it's just never enough. Go shopping? Okay. How often do you wear the same clothes? Shoes? Go to restaurants? Go to clubs? Are you still very happy? Have you been comfortable in your own company for 2 months? Productive? Charitable? Generous with your thoughts, words, deeds, wealth? How have you been using this time? So I leave you with all of these things to think about, because yesterday when we covered a little bit of how to explain and understand that when we experience God, it's important to acknowledge that it is the soul that experiences God, not your eyes, not your shoulders, not your chest, not your abdomen. However, whatever the soul experiences, it sends that vibration through your system. I was saying earlier that one of the things I've loved is that when I'm walking around and everyone has on their masks, I'm just looking into their eyes. Like, who are you behind those eyes? How have you been living? What are you thinking? What have you been doing with your time? And you're just looking into the eyes. And you're looking for the spark of God's compassion, God's kindness, God's generosity, God's love in the eyes of one of His children. Can you see it? Can you feel the love and the compassion from the soul? Are you able to share your godly love and compassion to that soul? It's a very beautiful time to be able to bring these feelings and these thoughts to the surface. However, if we are struggling, and we know that, then having a consistent connection and relationship with Source is vital. So many various traditions throughout history have continuously pointed us back to the Source. Way back over 2,000 years ago. First, when Hinduism started, there wasn't a prophet. There were principles. It was a philosophy. The individuals and residents of India and of the East, they started to worship a lost image within themselves, the nature, a book, a rendition of a god called Krishna, and so many more factors. But why would they go back? They kept going back to a form of God that was always something peaceful, loving, and pure. They interpreted the form of Krishna as that. They interpreted the form of a lingam like that. They interpreted the nature like that. And even though that culture continues up until today to have a very deep connection and roots to rituals and worshipping and prayer, still, there are people going to bed hungry. There's violence. There's insecurity. There's jealousy. There's competition. There's hate. Despite all of that, Buddhism starts. He doesn't talk much about God, but he talks about compassion and karma. Abraham comes on the scene. Free my people, let them go. He gives us rules, guidelines, principles. Jesus comes on the scene. He says, be compassionate. Just look at the period, look at how the time is moving. From Hinduism to Buddhism in the East, Abraham, Christianity, then comes Islam, Sikhism, and many different variations of a religious way to connect to God. And still, we're in crisis. Scriptures, songs, prophets, sages, saints. Is there something that we're missing? Is there still something we need to understand? I think so. Because the energy of God is so unlimited as a vibration, that if I as a soul am allowing the thoughts of God to enter my mind, which is the form of light. Anything that's positive is light. And so the energy of light will start to emerge in your mind where there's a feeling of peace or love. And the stronger the energy and the experience of that emerges in your personality, it sends a signal to your conscious choice, and then you choose to act according to the feeling of God's vibrations in you versus acting from a more human tendency. I wanted to kind of open the show with this idea and concept to try to follow through from the continuation of yesterday's program, because I feel the real key here for our connection to Source is to know the energy of the soul, is to truly identify how the soul functions and in what way the soul has now the capacity and the permission to truthfully make a link to the Supreme and create this link to the Supreme. Daddy Janki said in her video just now, she says, when you remember God, your intellect goes upwards. So the way I decode that is that when you start to remember God, you start to pull away from the pattern of your average waste or negative thinking. You just start to pull away from it. Interesting, isn't it? Let's try this meditation together and see if we can establish another link in our connection to the Source. Let's put together this little video here, which will kind of take us on just a little journey. And so I'll guide us through the meditation as you listen and watch this video. It's my aim to see if we can connect you. Take a deep, deep breath and relax. And allow yourself to just settle into where you are. The sun is going down. It's time for you to feel a sense of comfort and freedom. And it's time for you to remember, to reconnect. I, the soul, sit inside of the brain, behind the eyes. All my memories are recorded right here. My thoughts, motives, and choices are from right there. And based on the thoughts that I think, I can feel it in my heart. And these thoughts, however concentrated they are, spreads a vibration in the atmosphere. So say, for example, I choose to have the thought and the remembrance, I, the soul, am peace. I am powerful. I am worthy. And I have the capacity to experience the love, the peace, the power, and the purity of God, the Supreme Being, the Mother and Father of all souls, the ocean of love, the ocean of light. Even though I'm aware my physical body is sitting here, the thoughts within the being, they are not. I'm transcending thoughts of the physical dimension towards the home of light, towards the home of peace, the residence of all souls, and the resident of the Supreme Being. I take my thoughts into the womb of God to be recharged, enlightened, empowered, to be filled once again. And it's in this meditation and link with the divine that I'm being restored. Let me allow the vibrations of the energy of the divine to gently flow through me. In my slow and gentle return journey, in my awareness of the physical form, I allow my gentle, loving, peaceful thoughts So I bring my awareness back into where I'm sitting, taking a deep breath, bringing with me the gentle, subtle awareness of this moment within. So, as we come back into the space, welcome back into the room and the space, and that moment that we just shared to make this connection to the divine. That's the connection that we continuously practice with the Brahma Kumaris in the morning at 4, at 6 o'clock, every hour in the hour. And what happens is that each time you keep remembering the source of where love and power and peace and purity resides, and you have this interpretation in your mind, no? Like, if you bite into a sweet mango, you have an interpretation and a sort of an expectation that it's going to be very sweet. Just last week, some Brother Jitin and Deepika donated a beautiful box of mangoes. And the moment you bit into it, you just knew it was going to savor the most sweetest experience. If you bite into a lemon, you know that they'll be sour. And even if you think of a lemon without biting into it, you will start to feel as if you've bitten into it. Isn't your mouth watering even now as you think about the lemon? Because it is for me. So the fact that thousands of years have passed and we've continuously heard that God is love, God is your mother, your father, God is peace, that be still and know that I am God. We haven't used this energy in our lives enough. So what's been happening is that we're fighting and quarreling and hating each other so much because that energy has leaked out. So in the meditation and in the practices of Raj Yoga, what happens, you are restoring the original energy of your character and your personality. And it will happen for the rest of your life. It's not just a 7 days course. It's not a course for 2 years, 10 years. Daddy Janki was on her path for 84 years, making spiritual endeavor. And she will tell you, I'm still a student. So I'm curious to take some questions if you'd like, or if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share. In the video footage, I would recommend that you go back and look at it, that when you go into meditation or into prayer of God, if you started to think of God to be Christian, Hindu, Krishna, Ganesh, Muhammad, the Quran, the Sangya Swad, what would happen is that you start to think of yourself as a physical dimension. So when you stop thinking of yourself as a soul, this is what, when you're soul conscious, this is what happens to your energy. When you think you're the body and you're attached to the religion of your body, I'm a Christian, I'm remembering God, I'm remembering Jesus, I'm Muslim, I'm going for Ramadan, I'm going to do Hajj, I'm going to do this, I do my prayer, and I'm physically thinking of my religion with these interpretations, it still reduces the impact of the vibration flowing through the soul. Because the moment that the soul attaches in its consciousness a limited interpretation, it reduces the intake of the unlimited force of God's vibrations. So you can still remain a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, an atheist, whatever your choice is. However, when you choose to have a deep submerged experience with God, then instead of going in yoga or in remembrance to God as a Christian or as a Jew or as a Muslim, that's not important. Those are titles and identifications that are culturally ingrained, linguistically ingrained, and geographically ingrained that I've adapted to in my sanskaras, that it doesn't take me any effort to say I'm a Muslim. It takes me no effort to say I'm a Christian. But are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? Or are you a soul? So the way, when we're getting to learn more about who we are, the way that we start to have this internal dialogue is that I'd say, I am a peaceful soul and I practice Islam. I love what Islam teaches me. I love the energy of Islam. I love the culture or the rituals of Islam. So you use your teachings and your practices of your religion as a means of a kind of a support and to some extent a subtle understanding of keeping your character, your personality, your values, your virtues at a higher dimension. So when you're connecting to the supreme energy here, wait, let me get the picture. I'm going to try to get it. So when you're connecting upwards, right, and you are in the open consciousness, I'm not my body, so I'm not attached to all the identities, but I am a soul, a child of the Supreme. Then a certain kind of a energy starts to take you over. And the soul starts to feel like it moves away from the attachments to religion, to name, to gender, to role, to titles, and it starts to really connect to this unlimited, vast capacity of purity and love which comes from the divine, the Supreme. So in our practice, and in the teachings of Raj Yoga, we've had Brahma Baba as our instrument that has been guiding and showing us how to maintain the link. In many traditions, they might have really top gurus or people in positions of spiritual leadership. They don't release to individuals who are practicing their faith what's the method to be able to grab that connection that you have. What I've loved about Brahma Baba's teachings and what we've learned from the Dadis and so many of our other instruments is that they have taught us completely how to have a deep link and a connection to the divine. All right. So let's see, are there any questions that anyone might have? Yeah? Let's see. So Vidisha said that my belief in God is so much variant at time. What should I practice in order to be constant always? I would recommend the practice of being just what I shared earlier, to be soul aware and to practice checking in every hour on the hour, to just see where you are, how you're feeling, what you're going through, and If you get a chance to take the Raj Yoga meditation course, it can help to put a lot more things in perspective for you, and it can definitely give some clarity of the consistency. You've got to want this, Vidisha. You've got to want to transform your life. No one can force you into it. No one can tell you. And I don't think that we should wait for a tragedy to make that occur. It should be a natural need and a sense. If this COVID crisis hasn't created some sort of a remembrance or an awareness, I just don't understand why anyone wouldn't try to continue to really look into, their idea of connection to God. So I don't know if there are any questions on Facebook. I'm getting the ones on YouTube, but on Facebook. Are words dharma and religion kind of used synonymous? And as a matter of fact, they are not. Can you explain? Can you clarify? There are two ways that we look at it here in the BKs is dharma and dharna. Do your principles match religion? So try to put aside, all the various religious options that we have, and let's focus really just at the core of religion, that it has persistently tried to teach us about love and purity and peace and kindness. So do my principles match that? So whether you want to say dharma, religion, dharna, principles or qualities, you've got to recognize that your principles will match the depth of your godliness, which has to be connected to virtues and values. If your dharna, your principles, aren't from an elevated concept of existing, then you are not living your dharma. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, so I think I've also answered Barani's question because it's pretty much the same. Yes? Right, so, I tell you, it's just a time for us to really look at ourselves and really begin to ask ourselves the right questions and work things through, because if we don't deepen the connection to Source, then we're going to be subjected to all the negativities of the world. Whatever is happening, or how people are behaving with their greed and their anger and their jealousy and their competition, that's actually not normal. But it has become the norm, you see. We weren't supposed to be like that, but it is the norm. And it's reached such a critical point that even when we're nasty and bullyish and greedy, I have seen people would rather somebody live on the streets and go hungry than to help them because they want some money. That's an imbalance. That's a mental illness. There's got to be a way that when the soul is experiencing the energy of purity and love from God, you won't have that energy towards anyone. You will always look for a way to make it work. And you come from a place of compassion. But the issue is that sometimes we're not always like that. And sometimes there's so many people who are in the world void of this loving, compassionate expression of God. But if you become example, you become a sample, and you become a sample, and I become a sample, it will eventually become known that this is the only way to live. It's because we don't have a lot of samples, which is why everyone is swaying to the ego and the anger and the darkness. Yeah. So, the energy of meditation, right, is all about reconnecting to the Source and having this profound link and this profound connection. When we leave our bodies, the bodies either go 6 feet under or is burned to ashes. but where does the soul go? So the wish is for the soul to go back to God, to Source. But so many of us are leaving our bodies with issues that are unresolved. And it's such a powerful pull that it pulls the soul back into another body to give it another chance. How many of you have had one thought about a person that just takes away all your peace? Maybe the next door neighbor, maybe somebody in the market, maybe an in-law. There's just one thought about them and it just disturbs your spirit. It takes everything away from you. You could have been having the best day and somebody did one thing and that one thought ruins your whole day. It's just one thought and one occurrence. But it took you away from everything good. In the same way, if the soul leaves the body, and in the sanskaras there are recordings of having given sorrow, a lot of sorrow, a certain amount of sorrow, just the vibration of that sorrow, that energy becomes also a precursor to pull me back until I get a chance to resolve it. Which is what I love about Raj Yoga meditation, you know. It continuously tells you, clean up your shop. Clean your soul. Become pure. Become loving. Become kind. And you can still live. You can still run your business. You can still create great ideas. You can still go out and socialize with your friends. But to bring the best of you forward. Is everybody enjoying this? I hope it's okay. Is it all right? Yeah? Okay. So let's see. So Nicole is asking, how do we support someone who believes that God makes them suffer? They have no hope and want to die. Yes, I had a talk with someone today about that. And Portia Davidson had asked this question before too, a few weeks ago. I would take a breath with them and just say, I know it's hard to accept, but I do believe that this is our wake-up call, that I feel we haven't made God the center focus of our lives. We talk about Him, but to what extent have we really allowed the purity and the love of God to really work through us? So then I would share with the person that there are just some of our brothers and sisters that have just turned their backs completely on the energy of God. And so they are doing things that are giving a lot of sorrow and a lot of pain. And as much as God's energy is constant and is flowing, the child is just not opened yet. So what we need to do is to give those children of God our blessings and good wishes with the intent and the wish, may you one day open up to God's love. And the second thing I would tell them, please, we can't give up on God now. What we have to do is to pull Him in more than ever. But we too have to get up and do our work and use our faith and bring it to power. So I would tell them that, Nicole. So Bimla is saying that when I meditate, sometimes my mind is racing with all kinds of thoughts. How do I slow them down and focus on God's light? Om Shanti. Welcome to the club of humanity, Bimla. You're not alone. But one of the things I'd ask you to do is during the day, try to be more mindful even when you're walking. Like a lot of times when I'm walking, in my mind I don't have to think. I don't have to worry about an agenda or a project, but in my mind I'm saying, I'm putting peace in the ground. So as you're walking around the house, generate peace in the ground. Today when I was walking around the house, I kept telling, let me leave the vibrations of peace as a fragrance behind me wherever I go. It's important that when you are moving around, your thoughts aren't in conflicting directions. So for example, you might be washing the dishes, but your thoughts are about doing laundry. You might be doing laundry, but you're thinking about, oh, I have to take care of the kids. You might be cooking, and then you're thinking about somebody who hurt your feelings, right? So because you're not present in and out, it creates a lot of confusion inside. So when you sit for meditation and you feel that your thoughts are everywhere, accept that as your signal that I'm not paying attention to the way I should be walking and moving around during the day and living my life. So as of tonight, you take a breath and you start with one little thing at a time. The way you wash your hands, the way you wash your face, the way you comb your hair, the way you take care of the kitchen, the way you get dressed. Just think, just be very present. I'm a peaceful being putting on my pajamas. And when you sit for a little bit, you go, God or Baba, I'm sitting here in peace with my own company, and I wish to just be with you. And you know the energy of God. You can see it here on the image that Santosh has left. We're on the physical dimension, but the energy of God's light is subtle. So you have this idea, this thought about it, and you can keep pulling the energy in. Tony Patel, very nice to have you. Believe in self is a drama. You have destiny. Where do you feel good? Oh, okay. Let me see if I can decode that.
Actually correct. Believe in self. He meant dharma.
Believe in self in drama. I think that we all have a destiny, and one of the things, I think this is Thakur Bhai, no? Om Shanti Thakur Bhai. It's nice to see you and have you on if this is you. But Thakur Bhai, you and I both know that, yes, we all have our predestined part recorded. For many of us, we believe that there's a part in the soul that's already preordained. But because we don't know what it is, and we don't know for sure what's going to happen, we still have to come from an experience within the soul that has the sacred experience of God's presence. The more I can pull the fragrance and the experience of God's love in me, then it's natural for me to watch the unfolding of my destiny and my drama be filled with this vibration. And if for whatever reason I'm not able to pull the energy of God's love in me, then maybe it is destiny. Maybe I have tried my best. Maybe it's not for me. But sometimes we give up a little bit too quickly because we don't have enough proper information or clarity as to how to be able to really enhance this experience within. So Dr. Kirit was saying, I think there's something called walking meditation you can try, sure. It's important that as you're walking and moving around, you keep your thoughts above, or you keep spreading these vibrations. The greatest power that we have right now is the power of our thoughts. We become what we think, and our destiny is routed in what quality of thoughts we have and why we have these thoughts. Look, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose to pull your attachment away from all of these old stories? My name, my caste, my religion, my money, my country, my language. What do you have to lose to let go of all those attachments and just say, I'm the energy of light, the child of God the Supreme, and I have earned the right to receive God's unlimited inheritance in my destiny. The question is, do you feel worthy enough to be loved so deeply and so purely, in which nothing can disturb it? Why not try for that? You and I would have never imagined the world would have gone on a global pause because of a virus. You and I would have never expected an atrocity like Hiroshima to happen. You and I would have never thought a world leader could kill 6 million Jews, and the world had no idea of the atrocity that was taking place for so long. You and I had no idea that someone could think like that. So if you become that special soul that is so rich with the experience of God's pure vibrations, how would you be used? How would life support you? What would be your blessing? How would you help the lives of others? Imagine what you could do if you filled your personality with God's love. Who would you be? How would you be used? I'll leave you here to ponder on that tonight. And I thank you for asking for a part 2 of experiencing God. Center says now everyone's going to want a part 3. It's a very beautiful topic. Today, as I kind of took it easy and I rested, I laid down for a little. And as I was laying in bed, everyone, I kept just, this is what I was churning, and I'd like to leave you with this to ponder on before you go to bed tonight. My eyes are closed, I'm laying down, and I'm thinking that the energy of God's light is just surrounding me. It's not surrounding me because I want money, I want my mother to be like this, I want health, I want a new this, I want that, nothing. It's just the energy of God's light. It's just surrounding me. And what you'll feel is like the subtle vibration of a wave. That's why Daddy Janki said in the video at the beginning, you need a divine intellect to experience God's vibration. If the intellect is gross, which is attached to the human dimension of your persona, or if it's attached to the world and its negativity, or attached to a lot of vices, it can't feel the subtle waves. There are too many images and stories of people, places, things, desires, expectations. They're walls, and it creates a block. So as much as God's energy is constant, you see, it's always bestowing vibrations. And I leave you with this to think about. Sorry. So here is God's energy constant, right? Constant. Here I am, running here, doing here. Did you see what my wife did? My husband, it shouldn't be, the government didn't do this. The energy is going, but I can't get it. I can't get anything. I'm too busy. So then I pray to God, but I'm praying out of fear, and I'm praying out of being busy, and I'm praying out of wanting. God's not going to give you a new house or a new car, but God will give you the experience of the powers and the vibrations in which you can use that inspiration to think the right thing, to say the right thing, to attract the right people, to bring some of these dreams to manifestation. So this energy is just lying. I know that when you're filled in me, I won't even remember you. And that's how I was talking to God as I was laying down, right? And the waves are just coming in like that, little by little. So take advantage of these practices. And if you haven't yet watched the Raj Yoga meditation course that I give on the Meditation Museum YouTube playlist, I highly recommend that you take some time to go through that. And if by chance anyone has listened to those 6-7 classes and have really gone through it, and you're tuning in with me every day, then I'll be happy to talk with you and to bring you over to maybe some more advanced teachings as we move along. We'll find a way to work it out. Okay? So we're coming to a close of our program tonight, and thank you so much for joining me again, and all of us. Santosh says thank you. Happy is lying down. Sister Gita has been up and down the last 2 days. It's been a little bit rough for her and kind of we've been on guard for the last few days a lot, just trying to keep up with her, so to speak. But our blessings are with her. And I know that she has the courage to go to the place inside of herself to also help herself. So thank you for tuning in. Know that unlimited blessings and pure feelings and good wishes are with you always, always, always. We'll always have a choice. You either choose power or not. This age that we find ourselves in is an age that requires us to be strong and powerful. And you can do it. You are worthy. You are good. You are pure. Now go to the Creator in your thoughts and claim your rights. Claim your inheritance. Bring it here. Distribute it vibrationally so people can heal. Your brothers and sisters can heal. Okay? All right, take good care. Feel free to keep up with us on the Meditation Museum website, and don't forget to follow America Meditating Radio. We have made a deal with America Meditating Radio to stream our conversations stream the conversations that we're having with Meditation Museum on America Meditating. So pretty soon you'll be able to listen to a wonderful playlist of all of the talks and shows that we've done during the COVID lockdown. So look out for that pretty soon. And remember, donations are more than welcome. You can go on the website. I heard it might not be working, but feel free to check in again and it will soon. But please, just remember, we've got to get out of this so strong and so compassionate. Things that we thought were really important are not. It's our mental peace that's important. And our mental purity. Many blessings. Enjoy this as we come to a close for our evening. Take care. Om Shanti. The time that we choose to be aware doesn't necessarily require me to just sit and meditate. But even while I walk and move around, I can be in a meditative awareness, which is awareness of the soul, the original, eternal, imperishable being of light. For a little while, I'd like to invite you to be present, to be here, and to be now. Allow your mind to settle in the moment, to relax. This meditation is about awareness. It's about becoming aware of your original and eternal self. It's about connecting to your truth. Let go of your name. And observe yourself feeling nameless. Let go of your gender to discontinue thinking you're a man or a woman. Let it go and observe how you would feel walking around without a gender. Let go of the role that you play and let go of the titles that you own. Observe how you're feeling as you are gradually letting go. Let go of your religion and put it aside just for now. And let go of your nationality and even the language that you're accustomed to. Imagine you have no name, gender, role, title, religion, nationality, or even a language. Ask yourself, how do you feel at this moment? And in this feeling, who would think of you and who would you think of? The Supreme Soul would think of you, and you, the liberated soul, would think of the Supreme. In this state of absolute freedom, I am truly who I am. A free, peaceful, pure, immortal, and eternal soul. Allow yourself to just be absorbed in this awareness. At this time,